Okay, and there we go. All right, so you know that when I do put myself on spotlight, you can still ask questions, not an issue. Spotlight's great because it keeps the image on me, so you can see what's going on the easel, and there's not that flipping back and forth if people ask questions. Okay, I'm going to keep the sidebar up in case anyone is. I know there are two people said they were running late, so I'll just keep an eye on that. Check my notes here. Yep, spotlight record. I'm set. Okay, well, once again, thank you for coming today. You know, we've got kind of a dreary day down here this morning, but I understand Saturday's supposed to be like really super. So we've just been chatting about plein air. I think people are getting itchy to get outside and well, do anything. You know, plein air painting's great, but it'd be nice. I mean, last Saturday I was out doing gardening. It was like, not that I'm a big gardener, but it was really fun just being outside and being able to, you know, rake and get the garden kind of spruced up without having a whole load of layers on. So today, what I thought I would do, anyone who is in my Tuesday class is going to be able to see the continuation of the demo that I started there. And we are working in that class on different vantage points that kind of change up the perspective, the view of the scene. And for this one, I've got a city scene, and this was in when I was traveling, and I believe this one was in Geneva. It's a little side street. So the idea is to show as if I am up high looking down and over. So there's quite a bit of perspective that was involved with that, which I've taken, you know, various photographs so people would have an idea of how I put that together. So I thought, well, there's perfect. I'll just do it I'll paint it up for the studio visit today, which is great. So this is on Pastel mat, which is one of my favorite papers. The only thing is it feels as if this paper has a slightly unusual texture to the way it normally feels. So we'll see what happens. It feels a little bumpy, and usually it's smooth. So I may have a funky surface to deal with, who knows. So after drawing it on, and for something like this, you know, I do set up, you know, using a ruler because I want to make sure that I keep my edges of my building straight. As I paint, I'm not going to be as worried, but those are my guidelines that are there, you know, and I have been able to address the angles of the windows, you know, using the idea of the vanishing point. What you're seeing here is an underpainting that was done with gouache. It was one color. It was Payne's gray mixed with a little of ultramarine blue. So it's got a kind of a cool feel to it. And I did it in a tonal painting, you know, so I have some of the different values. And this lovely maize color paper, I think it's called, you know, really acts as the lighter areas in my painting. So I do like doing, I don't know how many of you have used, you know, watercolor gouache, acrylic washes, oil washes for underpaintings, but with pastels, they're really nice because it sets the stage. You can very easily and quickly see your design come up. I can see if there's any faults right in here. And, you know, it's a great way to be able to fix things before you're too far into the painting. So if you have not tried that, I would suggest getting out there, and I'm going to move in a little bit. I see Steve coming in, and there we go. Okay, that's a little better. I think you have a little better close up. So this morning, what I was doing is I had same color paper, and I started doing just a little color study over here. And with that little color study, it helps to guide me towards what I want to put in the big painting. This doesn't take into account that I do have an underpainting that I've done on here, but you know, I'll adjust that when I move over, because as you know, a color you put down on a light surface like this and the same color on a darker surface like that is going to look slightly different because it's affected by the color that's underneath it. So I'll adjust to that as I go along, but I'm bringing in a lot of colors. I'm going to be looking at the, I'm just going to check this for a second here in case anyone's come in. Okay. I'm going to be looking at the black and white because I am not actually painting off of the color photograph. Clearly on the iPod, the iPad, you know, any sort of digital device, it's backlit. So the colors really do wind up looking, you know, clearer and brighter. You know, the print job kind of dulls a little bit, but I'm really infusing some of my own colors in here. What I'm going to be doing is thinking about what colors are muted, which colors have a little bit more intensity, and which colors are actually, or which areas I should say, are actually being hit by light. Because I've got this beautiful light, which I've slightly exaggerated and made it a little larger over here. And, you know, clearly it's hitting in the background. I'm going to refer to this. It's hitting in the background here, tops of his shoulders. So those areas I'm going to kind of kick up and pop. And the way that you can do that is by putting, you know, something that's a little, you know, vivid against dull, or a lighter value against a darker value, working with those contrasts, you know, warm and cool, but, you know, it depends on where you're going with that. So let's get started here. I made a mistake when I was doing this. This is really funny. I was doing my little sketch over here and I got carried away and I started painting over here. So anyway, so let's see. We've got this. I'm going to start way in the background. This is a good example too of, yeah, that's the color of the sky. That's the beauty of having this here. I can test a little of it here. The color of the sky in this painting looked white. And the reality of, oh yeah, it isn't like a little pebbly look here. Oh, that's a little interesting. So the color of the sky in the photograph is white. It was not white. It was, I can tell there was light coming through because I've got a lot of light that's falling on parts of this painting. So it can't be overcast, because if it was overcast, I wouldn't have these I wouldn't have these strong shadows, and I wouldn't have the light that's falling on the side of the building, the top of the whatever this is here, the umbrella stand, you know, so I did kick that up quite a bit. Okay, let's see, we're going to put, like bringing a little of the blue color sky into a couple other areas. That'll be a nice, so I'm just gonna very lightly put in some of that. Just trying to get the feel for, these guys are in the shadows here, but they're still a little lighter. So I'm just going to do a really little light drags in a few places. Okay. Greens, people listened to me whine about greens yesterday. This is pretty dark green. Okay, looks a lot darker than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to do a light skim with that for this tree. Just want to establish where it's going to be. Give this building a little bit more of a slant. I did it too geometrical, you know, that's the problem when you get a ruler in your hand, or at least when I get a ruler in my hand, sometimes I wind up using that ruler and forgetting some of the, you know, more painterly ideas that are in my head. So after I looked at the sketch, I realized that what I needed to do is really give that building a little bit of an off angle. These are old buildings. They're not going to be perfectly square. So that's it. And carrying that color around a little bit. I know I'm going to be putting some down in here. I'm going to turn this stand more into a flower stand than I think it's like a food stand. Oh no, it's a restaurant. Oh, okay, there we go. Well, it's a restaurant. Well, that'll work out perfect. Okay, putting these light to dark through there. Okay, feel free to ask questions. And again, in some of these darker areas here, I changed the roof line. It does not appear in the photograph. And that's going to be fairly backlit. So I'm going to just bring in, let this underpainting do some of the work through here. This is where I wanted to get rid of that straight edge. So I'll come in a little bit heavier with this, and this blue winds up being too strong. I'm going to wind up knocking it down. Fingernail, get rid of that. There's pipes on the side of this old building. There's a railing over here. Those are things that I would not put in until the end. Okay, same color. Gonna drag that over a little bit in this area here. Like that blue. This is, I'm working on a color palette that is using, see, look, this is going to be the shadow there. So this is a little darker than that. So that works out well. So I'm using a color harmony that is based on, you know, analogous colors. So I've got a theme going on of blue violets, blue, and blue green. And then I'll be putting in little pockets of color that have red, orange, and this nice warm. Okay, do a little bit more thinking when I have this kind of underpainting underneath, because I do really want to keep some of that painting showing through. Now, so these are really pretty light strokes. And carrying that, this is a lovely violet. This was a Terry Ludwig, but it was a violet that, I don't want to go over that window too much. There we go. But it was a violet that was handmade into a square. I believe I got it in a workshop that I took with either Liz or Jeannie. And that was ages ago. It's one of my favorite colors. I mean, it was much bigger when I got it. Okay, that's about where I had that. I had some of this running across because I'm referring over here. Okay, just get a couple sweeps. Vertical, notice, vertical, horizontal, change the strokes. I can get in some of my darks, and I have this really lovely dark blue. So let's double check that. That's really dark. That goes down here. Look, nobody else coming in. All right. Okay, so whoops. Okay, I'm going to paint that. That gives it a nice textural feel. Bringing that over. That's going to go a little lighter on the corner. I wasn't going to put this railing in, but I have decided that I do like it. It went nicely, but I doubt I'm going to do it this really super fancy way that it is. So I changed that up a little bit. This is where, so I'm going to get in these little shadows in here where I've got underneath the eaves of the roof. Again, really light through there. Okay, and I do tend to work dark to light, but I have a habit of sometimes getting in some big areas of a medium value first, just so I can see how dark I want to go, because I don't want to make this too dark. Photographs are deceiving. I know I've said that before, and they don't necessarily always read correctly. Okay, and I've got a lot of darks down here in the building that's off in the distance. So I'll put a little bit there. We'll have this kind of drag down just slightly. Okay, because that's more the tarmac. I don't want that to read as light as I'd actually painted it. And then we've got a lot of shadow that's falling underneath here. And I don't know if you've been following some of my posts, but I've been doing lots of figures. I've been drawing them every day. I don't post them every day, you know, some of them are, I mean, they're just, you know, just goofy little practices some of the time. So I just post them incidentally. And let's just get little bits in here. I know these guys are going to take a little bit more energy later on because, you know, I want to make sure that my, what do you call it here? My archways are correct. Okay, let's use the same color. And I'm just going to get some of the figures set up in here because they will be blocking what's going on here, which I've turned into a vegetable stand instead of what it is. So we'll just get little dark figures. She's going to be coming around the corner. She's going to wind up being lighter. And I added another person here. And then we've got this guy here. It's a big clunky piece, but it doesn't matter because what I'm doing right now is I'm really just blocking in the shapes. I'm not getting caught up with the details of different things, but see what I'm starting to see here is some form of the building. And that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm trying to create, just getting down. I'm going to use this here for a little bit of the shadows, repeating the same colors, because guess what? I can go over those colors later. I mean, if I decide that some of these dark blues that I have really need to be toned down, I could do that. You got to be careful. Nothing over here is really that dark. And then let's just get a little bit on the base here, over here, down here, over. So I get that, creating that, and just going to do a, okay, block that in like that. A little bit there too. Okay, thinking stages. Okay, next value is really coming up to be those rooftops and, you know, his skin. So let's just put little marks. Sometimes I'll just put little marks to show where some of these smaller colors, these people are facing away. There's persons facing this way. So let me put a little face there. It's coming, she's coming here. Let's start with, use a variety of different colors for skin tones. And a lot of times, truthfully, I just totally base it on the, you know, the scene. So not necessarily on the photo. Let's get some of the roofs taken care of over here. I don't think I need to hold this anymore. There. Okay, where is that color? It's a little bit strong, but I am going to put it on because I want to make this feel as if it is I wanted to have something warm up here. I'm thinking, you know, to exaggerate that warmth on that building, on the roof line there. So let's straighten that up. Carving out edges works out really nicely, you know, rather than trying to draw that roof again. I'm just carving the sky color, and that gives me the roof. Okay. Okay, I'll sort that out later because the color of that sky. Okay, sky. Okay. I had, like I said, I had collected colors over here. He's too similar to that. I want to vary that sky so the sky doesn't look like it is flat. Ooh, let's try this one. Okay, yeah, this one will. Okay, so I'm just going to back and forth. Yeah, so like that. Oh, this little, I don't know if you can see it up here. That's telling me where the sun is. So that's my reminder. I really feel like because, here we go. Let's try this guy. Oh, no. Okay, let's take that because that blue that I used was actually looking a little bit too white, even though it was a blue. So I'm going over that with a little bit of a yellow, because again, oh, and I'm getting, so now I'm getting this play of colors, which is always what I'm looking for, that, you know, what's underneath and what's on top. Perfect. Too late to put this here, because I want to save that for the end. So I am going to, I'm going to come in with this color. I've already got this lovely peachy color underneath. And then this guy here, I'm going to use a little bit of the blue on him. Just little bits. Okay, now it's got a violet undertones here. So I'm going to do the same thing, sort of thing. I'm just going to do a little light, really little light blue. And I can already see where my windows are. So I really don't even have to draw them. You want to avoid, well, you can do whatever you want, but a suggestion is try to avoid outlining windows. If you draw them in first, or at least have the area where that window is going to be, what will happen is the window will just appear. You don't actually have to take and put a line around it. Yeah, I'm liking that. I'm liking that, that blue, and it's coming in really nice. Okay, I got blue that's going across up on the top there. Okay, let's get this down here. Okay, I'm going to keep these same colors for now because I can always change them around later. They're very close in value too. Let's put this up here. Oop, wrong color. Okay, let's put that there. Okay, that's just slightly lighter, but they're close in value. So this is catching a lot of light on this side of the umbrella. Put that in. Gosh, you know what? I don't know what it, I must be excited about this building because you know what? I'm moving into this building and the lights awful quick. So I'm going to rein myself in and I'm going to go back to some of my middle values. You know what it is? It's just like this area. Once I got the sky in, I want to do that, but I need to get the darker in. I need to get these darkers. So this is a play of neutrals and colors. So I have a variety of neutrals down here of different values. So I am just going to get some of these guys. This one's slightly different than what I just used. I'm just going to get, and he's a little bit more of a purpley look, but he is neutral because he doesn't have neutral. Did somebody have a question? Okay, that's all right. Yeah, because feel free, you know, interrupt, ask a question. Okay, other neutrals. Okay, I'm going to try to avoid browns. And this one here has a nice toned down feel to it. And again, I'm going to just, I'm not going to worry about the windows back there. I can come in, come around. So what I've done now is that violet that was there, these buildings are all connected, which made perspective fairly easy because since they're all basically on the same standing plane, building plane here, I did not have to worry about one being set in and out and then the vanishing point would change. So this color here, I can kind of drag it across all the windows. I mean, all the buildings. Perfect. Oh, I like that. I'm going to put a little of it over here too. And I'm going to just bring that down and let's put a little on this side here. And that's why that underlying color for me helps, because since these had more blue underneath, that had a violet underneath, even though I'm using the same neutral over them, they wind up having a fairly different feel to them because of that underlying color. Okay, enough of that. Okay, this has got a little bit of a green to it. Okay, again, pretty much that same value. So this is what I'm looking for, same values. So as I go over this, I am able to just rub what, and I'm just going, somebody has their, I don't mind if your speaker's on, if you're going to be asking me a question, but somebody does have their speaker on. We are hearing noise every once in a while. So people could just check. And, okay. Okay, so notice now I'm getting a gradation here. Okay, I had that darker blue underneath. I had put some of that neutral violet in here. And now I'm putting this neutral greenish. So when I talk about a color harmony, it doesn't necessarily mean that the color is intense. It means that the color is, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to change this from what I had. This color is going to be really nice for the path. So I'm going to get that in there. He is going to be lighter and darker than back there. I'm not going to do him now. I'm going to hang on and just get some of this through here. Get some of that violet, just strokes across. Strokes across. I'm not going to worry about that, the cobbly effect that's there. I may add some of that as a little embellishment later on. Same colors that's in the foreground, that's in the background, I'm going to hold off on. Okay, don't want to use too much of this in here because I want these to feel cooler, even though these are not in direct sunlight. I want them to feel a little warmer. So I have a neutral. Ooh, this might be too light. Oh, let's see. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it won't be. Let's see. Oh, just a little lighter. Perfect. Okay, and this is just a variation on that violet. This one's just a little bit warmer. Get that end of that window. It's there. Okay, end of the windows, that's there. Okay, coming around this window. Okay, and I can see where my line was, so I'm just putting the strokes in the direction of where I had that. Okay, so this to me is feeling cooler in here. There's another window in here. I don't want to add too much detail to that. And going to take and just bring a little bit of this. Oops, no, too dark. Look at how dark that is. Bad move, Betsy. Put just a little there. You can come in. You can come in and okay. Let's see. There's some lovely pots that are hanging on these buildings. Okay. Came up on that. Let's get a. Let's see this color. Okay. This is a little darker value. And it's going to be floating down on top of what I had. And this is kind of in the shade, but this color is, this one here is slightly darker value than that one there. Same color family, peach, orangey color. So these are going to just get dragged over that. And there. Some of that. Don't want to come down too far. What's happening is this is the edge of the building here. It's not actually catching light, but I do want it to feel warm. Okay, good. And I like that violet underneath because, the opposite of violet is yellow. This is not quite yellow, but it's it certainly has a yellow cast to it, you know, that peachy orange look. Okay, let's get this in a few other places. Okay, let's get that right back in there. A little light there. Okay, that can go there. Okay, and this is where I don't want too much along here, but I do want it to feel like there's some sort of light. Use the color of the paper. Okay, let's see. Okay, now I'll leave that. Oops. Jeez, this is all about the roof. What am I doing? Let's bring that. Okay, I wish I hadn't done that straight line. I try to avoid doing straight lines this soon because I really don't want it to. Okay, so that's feeling like light's hitting it. Okay, now I'm going to go to that lighter one that I already used. Light's hitting it. And get rid of that straight line that I had. Okay, that's looking a little better. Then I got to knock down a little bit of that violet that I had. And I'm going to go back to to that blue. Just going to go back to that green, the dark green. Just keep it down just a shot. Okay, this guy's got a lot of light on it. So we're gonna, just so I got that, so I want to be able to get underneath it here too. A lot of light hitting it right there. Okay, this guy's getting it right there. This guy's something a little funky. When I drew this too, there's something funky going on with that one. I'm gonna have to work on that. Okay, so the idea here, am I getting things in the shade? Am I getting things that are hit by light? You know, this is what I'm going for, not too dark. Okay, some of the other colors that I had in here, what I was thinking of, you're still thinking on that green end, that's too warm. I'm not going to use that in the background, but I will use a cool green. So let's see what we've got here. It's taking a different. Let's try this. Oh, there's a nice cool one. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's nice. Yeah, I can put, if I put the cool over here, I can see it. And this guy's dark, so he's down here. So this is what I'm trying to do. This blue that I have underneath, I've knocked it down a little bit with a neutral. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock it down with this lovely green. And just bring that over. And bring that down in between. I don't really want to be thinking about trying to, you know, do a whole load of really rigid lines at this point. Just my goal is just thinking about trying to infuse color into this that to me makes sense. Okay. Back here. Okay, no, I don't think I'm going to put any green back there. Let's see that right here. No. Let's see. Nah, see that green is just it's standing out a little bit too much. I'm going to put more on that light side and move it around just a little. Okay. Let's get the lights. Okay, I'm going to just do a couple of sweeping quick things just to get these forms showing up, kick up some of the colors that I had there. Come in with my dark, get those windows established, and they're just little marks in here. Okay. Little lights. This is darker, so let me get that blue I had. I'm going to get a blue that's not quite as dark there. And I'm not really, my goal is not to copy this exactly. I just want to have the feeling and kicking up. Yeah. Okay. This is again, the whole idea of something with a little bit more intensity of color. This is a blue that, you can really see that strong blue that's in there. Windows are high. Windows in the old buildings do not necessarily follow follow rules. Sometimes they have just windows that are in all different positions, but typically a window. Oh yeah, I like the way this blue on top is looking. That's looking nice. That's adding that little bit of kick, that little bit of punch. I want to add too much in the background, just a little. If it's up here and it's back there, it's going to change the way it feels. Nope, that doesn't work there. Let me just step back for a minute. Okay. All righty. Let's get him established. Okay, he's got light on his shoulders. Coming a little bit down the back. His shirt's slightly in shade. That color that I have underneath will do the work of that. So I'll just put a real thin color in there for his shirt. Let's get that skin tone. We'll get that right there. Okay, we're seeing a little
Betsy,
bit. Yeah.
this is Susan. Hi.
Hi, Susan. How are you?
I've been here all along, just walking my dog. But
Okay.
I thought you said you put yourself on speaker view. Are you? Because you're small for me, and I'm having trouble seeing. Of course, you're on my phone, but
Yeah, I don't know. It might make a difference on your phone, but I put myself on spotlight, so I would be the only one that shows up. But you need to make sure that you're on speaker view. So are you on speaker view?
I thought I was, but
I'm on an iPhone and you're plenty big.
Okay.
So it's
So
her
I
setting.
think check your end and make sure that
Okay.
you're on speaker view.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then I should be big.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Yeah, no trouble. Okay, actually, it's really handy, and I've said this before, I really like looking into, because I see it reverse, which is handy. Yes, okay. Okay, there we go, a little bit of, okay, and I told you that's where my sun is, that's where my light, that's what that little yellow guy is, so that's what I'm thinking, it's coming down, it's hitting just the top, a little bit over his shoulders. Let's get this guy cleared up. I've got lots of yellow in here, so I am going to switch this and get this a little bit more on the blue side. And I'm going to start rolling along now. Okay, this side here a little bit in the shade there, not catching as much light. Okay, coming down. There we go. That window. People are too tall. Look at that. Look at how tall I made that person. This should have been up higher. Oh, Betsy. Wasn't paying attention to that. Let's get this light back here. Kick that up, back up again. There's that person there. There's that person there. Just come quickly around them. Vary that coming out. Bring this in a little. Smooth that. Okay, okay, so what I'm going to, just so you know, if I start to quiet down, it's because now I'm looking at things far more close up. There's a lot of action back there. I'm going to add that afterwards. I'm just going to put this same neutral color that's there. But I'm, okay. Light, a little bit of light. We're exaggerating a little bit of that light coming in there. Okay, would be hitting that out there in the road too. There's like a, come around that person. Yeah, Okay, well, this blue is really nice. It's funny, you put a color in one spot, then it's like, where else can it fit? There's a lot of decorations on these. Oh, here, it look really great on top of this awning. That's right here. Okay, just gonna stick that there. Shape up those edges later. Okay. Perfect. Okay, that looks good. And then take that same one, light, 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 light. Perfect. Okay, leave that. Not a lot of light there. Okay, we've got little bits of light that are falling back in here. So we're gonna just put in a few little kicks there. Okay, so people, let's get some people in here. Notice I have not done the windows, not even going to go near the windows at this point. Gonna get the people and I'm going to get the tree. Okay. All right, color wise, what have I done? Okay, yeah, so I decided somebody here needed to have a little bit of green. So we're going to give this guy right here a little bit of a green jacket.
Betsy, it's hard to tell, but you know, these look like smaller figures and you've got a fairly fat pastel in your hand. Is that correct?
Correct. I'm just using the edge like this.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm just, I'm
Got
just putting marks in
Okay.
where the figure is. Man or woman, I can always change that. Really disappointed that I did not pay attention to the height here. Look at how short this is. That should be up so much higher. Drat. Okay, there is no sense in making teeny tiny people there because it's not going to make sense to the height of him. So I use the good old brush. And I'm just going to move it up, take care of it now. You know, I always find it absolutely amazing that, you can go through a painting and get it set up and not notice that something is so terribly out of whack. So clearly okay, we'll do that. And then this is the color that I had in the background. So I'm just going to bring down a little of this and I will, okay. There. Okay, so this is making more sense because, I'm not going to have the, awning there on top of the person's head. And again, another really good reason to not labor over trying to do a whole load of little details in one area. Okay, there. Okay, I'm seeing the light coming in. This is good. There's different things in here that are going to have light on them. Okay, it's not super lit, but I'm going to get that little bright in. There were things that had colors. Well, I'm imagining it because I'm looking at the black and the black and white image there. So I'm going to get a little bit of color in there. Okay, perfect. And then let's get the people. Okay, I've got, so this person I'm going to have facing this way. That person's facing that way. And green, let's get in okay, this I'm just throwing it. Let's get in this nice blue on this person. Okay, and let's get this guy bigger because I was making him way too small. I put this in charcoal. There's the height of him right here. Coming over. And this is like so easy to fix the heights of people when all you're doing is these, quick little. Okay, he's going to look a little goofy if his pants and his jacket are lime green or bright green, I should say. So he has a jacket on. I'm just going to, come in with the charcoal and just get some quick little marks where he is. Ooh, my finger's cramping up. Okay, same with this person. Just going to get that quick movement. Okay, and that person's standing there. Okay, they're getting decidedly smaller as they go along there. Okay, let's get that underneath there. Bring that up. Okay, so can you see the figures starting to show up? So what had happened when I did the designing on this one is, you don't want to start fiddling around with that area. But I started doing the designing on this, no matter what I did, this really bright umbrella was smack in the middle of the painting. So what I did is I shifted it more towards these steps here rather than farther down. So what I've done is I've created a group of people down here because I can't see what's there. And I really have no interest in trying to make it up because I don't really know what it is. Now, because these people they're farther back, so we're just going to have almost a cluster as if they're waiting for something right here. So I'm just gonna draw them a little shorter and just in charcoal, get that in there. And I'll add some colors on top of that. And let me just get that underneath part of the awning taken care of. Oh, now I'm holding the blues. Let's see. What colors have I not? Oh, right. I had this one here. Okay, so there. So we're gonna come down. I get a little bit of light there. Light in between the people. Just a little bit. Okay, coming across. That's it. Okay, taking this. A little bit of light there, and there's a little bit of light here. Okay, this heat, come back to the heat now. Okay. Okay, sort those guys out and stand back and look. Okay, any comments, questions?
It's helpful to me. It's great learning to watch how you'll take a color and put it in several places. Well, I know the theory of it. It's really good to see it in action. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, and and I'm often just really trying to. Okay, I should have been doing it this direction there. What I'm often trying to do is just set up continuity from one place to the next. And by doing that with the color, okay, there we've got some windows here, so I'm just going to put that in there. And the same with this here. And those have the shutters on them. So I'm just going to kind of drag that a little. Don't need to put a lot of detail in there. This is not an architectural rendering, but I do want it to. Okay, so what's happening now is I am just coming into a couple of areas so that I can give some form to the building without going crazy drawing the different bricks and I'm just following that same idea of balancing warm and cool. This guy here, we're just don't want that super warm up there. So same value, similar value. And this Mount Vision, I should have been telling you what pastels I was doing. This is Mount Vision. You know what, and see now that green's bugging me. I liked it when I first put it down, but I'm not crazy about the green now. So I'm just going to take and very lightly kick that up, take it off, and I'm going to adjust because this area here is capturing a lot of light. I'm just going to bring down this dark color here. Okay, and I know typically you put dark first, then the light's on top, but I often do come back in and kick up some of my darks at the end because I do want them to. Okay, and in here, it's really just the dark that's underneath. Yeah, the green sounded as if it was gonna work. I like the idea of bringing the green in there, but the reality of it is that looking at it, the green did not look all that great. Okay, and just get that a little darker. So these guys are, okay, so let's get some of these people. Okay, just gonna put in quick little faces just to establish.
What are you using for, what was in your hand?
This is one of my dark hard pastels, dark red hard pastel. Can't really remember the name of it. It's like a terracotta, and it's one of my drawing tools. I draw, as most of you know, if I'm not drawing with a pencil, I'm drawing with the red. I did not want the red infusing everything, but I've taken, since I've been using figures, I'll put a little, it's a darker value. I've been using that for some of my skin tone, and I've been using variations on this for skin tones. And I have, is this guy the darker? Oh, and then I've got a darker one. So I've got a variety of different colors in here. Okay, I'm feeling like I really want to get the light on here. So I need to put, I'm not sure really why I'm holding all the pastels. So this guy's catching light. Okay, the light's coming from here. He's got to be catching the light, even though it's not. If I squint my eyes and I look at this line, I'm going to have to spend time and correct. It's gotten a little goofy. Okay, I just really want some of these to just start showing up. Okay, a little bit more in the shade here. Got a little bit of a light hitting the top of that person there. I'm going to do a lot to him at the moment, trying to keep the figures really loose. So, okay, we're just gonna get his head, gonna leave his pants alone right now. And I'll be quite honest, his feet are going to be tricky, so I'm probably not even going to do this while I'm being recorded because I could, without, I'm going to keep it just the impression of a foot, but I really need to be concentrating on it when I do it. So I really don't think I'm going to do that while I'm recording. Okay, let's just get a little bit of light there coming out. Okay, and let me come back to getting, I don't want him to look like he's hollow. Okay, so I need to get a neutral color there. So I have, what I have over here is I have boxes. So I have a box of colors that I chose that have, these are all colors that are slightly dull. Well, that guy's not dull. You know, in all different colors. And dull colors can, you know, have color to them. It's just not going to be jumping out. So that's what I'm over here picking through. It's got to be a slightly darker value. That's too light. So let's see what we got going on here. I don't want it to be too dark because his shirt is a light shirt. Oh. The shirt is a light shirt, so it's not like, okay, and I've got to bring this down, and I am going to drag some of this color down here. Okay, so by having that darker color underneath and letting this color here do some of the work, have the lights fall over his shoulder. Okay, there's probably catching just a little bit of there. So we'll do that. And I'm going to carve his face by getting that background color back in again. Let me test it on the side. Okay, there. So I've been able to carve his body out. And this carving technique is a really great way of creating a form without having, oops, I do see somebody has come in. Looks as though, there we go. Without adding a lot. So it's the same in here without drawing the figures. I'm carving around the figures. Okay, that guy there will go like that. That person's walking, go there. And then I'll fiddle around with those colors that are there. This guy's going to take a little bit more because I wound up having him too short. I don't want it to feel like he's got a halo around him. So I'm going to take the same color and I'm just going to very lightly bring it up. Okay. And he does have light hitting a little bit on the top there. So we'll go for another neutral color. Yeah, that's a nice neutral. That's a little there. Just gonna put a little bit right there. Leave that. Okay, I wish I hadn't put that too much of that in there. Is that changed the way I wanted it to actually look? Okay, we're gonna come in. See that sometimes it's that manner of, so what I'm looking at now is the angle of his arms to the position of his body there. So I'm just gonna squiggle this there and this here. And he's got his hand. And somebody have a question or? Okay, let's come down. Okay, get rid of that. It's too long. Get that background in there a little bit there.
Betsy, this is Wendy. I was just wondering what kind of light you're using, that round light I see reflected in your glasses.
Oh, I have one of those, you know, and I always, that's why I put it to the side so it's not hitting me. I have one of those ring lights so that the light is focused towards me and the easel, as opposed to just relying, although my overhead lights are great. I love these overhead lights. They're absolutely wonderful. You can, I bought them, I think it was last fall. It might've been earlier than that. And they're, I can't remember the name of them, to tell you the truth. This would be a good PR for them if I could remember the name of them. But anyway, you can change them from light to cool, and you can set up, you know, clearly the angle you have to do manually, but then you can set up the intensity of the light that comes down on the easel. They're specifically made for art studios or for artwork, and you're trying to position light on artwork. So what I do, I think I'll take a break from this anyway. So what I do is I put a white sheet of paper here, okay? And I want there to be light on it, but if you'll notice, see the way it's glaring on it, whereas back here it's slightly muted. So I always test my lights on a sheet of white paper. Okay, so.
Thank you.
Okay, yes. And you know what I'll do is I will put the name of the lights when I send out the recording. Okay, and then that way people know what kind of lights I use. Okay, I think I'm going to just put a little bit of warm on the trees back here. And this paper, it is a little different, you know, it's not Pastelmat. Usually everything goes on super smooth. It's actually not. It's going on a little bit more pebbly. So there must be something up with this paper. That's about the same. Let's get one that's a little bit warmer, so that some of the tops here. Just there. I'm gonna just come in with my finger. Get some of that there. There's a nice little value change that's happening there that's not showing up. So down here, it's catching less light. So I'm just going to very lightly bring in some light over it and come down. I'm not going to put any branches or anything in now, but that makes a little bit more sense there. And same thing again back here. We've got a whole load of things that are lit and colorful that are capturing light. So I am just going to put some fun colors back here, little marks as if there's things going on. Okay, same as in here. So let's get some light. And here, I'm going to put in just some really bright colors for the time being, carve out those characters around them. Let's get that back to that blue again. Oh, this one's just a little bit more. Okay. Okay, there. Just little bounces. And what I'll do is as I go along, I'll just be kicking down the color a little bit, but I'm just gonna smooth that just a little bit. I went a little bit crazy with that blue right there. Okay, I think I'm going to have to stop before I need time to actually look at it. So at this point, what I'm doing is I'm trying to, this I believe needs to go a little bit darker. Sun's coming from over here. Notice that if the sun's coming from over here, this wall would have to be facing the other direction. So I'm going to make that a little bit darker. And I'm going to do it in increments so I don't go too dark, too crazy. And there's one of my, let's see if this color. Okay, similar values, let's see. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing I did here on this side. And I am just going to come in with a little bit of dark here. Just drag it lightly over it. This is a really good way to make mud if you're not careful. So I'm using an extremely soft stroke. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over it with another color, again, with a super soft stroke. Okay, so that what's happening is I'm letting some of that color that's underneath there show through. And after that, okay, see, I think that dark makes sense. What about you guys? What do you think? I'm gonna put some of this over here. Okay, so it all started with that value sketch that was underneath. Okay, I was able to, yeah, see, coming in with some of these dark guys, this is gonna make more sense. And then I can just put some of these guys here. And I have to make a little bit more of a distinction between these two areas. The shadows over, the light and the shadows over here, a good base for it. It's probably got about another hour's worth of work on it without going too crazy. But the idea is values, do I have my values all right? Let's get a little bit right there. Okay, and we'll just kick that right there. Okay, looking in the monitor. Okay, and I'm gonna put, there is a dark pole here. I'm not gonna actually put it as a pole, but I'm just gonna put a dark, okay. That's making more sense to me now because I'm seeing this side dark. This is up and farther away, so it's not actually catching the color. So that makes sense. The path is pretty much the same all the way. So I'm kind of wondering if the path over on this side could do with being a little bit darker, so I am just going to do a little bit of that. Okay, that makes sense. This over here is going to be a little bit darker because people are there and they're kind of blocking the light. So I'm going to do that. Okay. Okay, so I'm looking for that value distinction between the two here. And this color here needs to be kicked down a bit. So I'm going to go back to that, this really nice one right here. I'm just going to bring that a little bit over. Oh, see, shouldn't have done that. Go this way now. I'm gonna have to, I might have to brush that out. It's too strong of a light there, but there is a little bit more of a distinction. Okay, and it may look like I'm staring at you, but I'm looking at my painting over my shoulder. I have a mirror on the door that's right there, which means that if I back up, I can see it in the mirror. But when I'm teaching, it's really handy to be able to look at it, you know, this way. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Would anyone like to ask a question, make a comment, anything at all? You can take yourself off of mute if you would like.
I love the neutral palette, Betsy. It's called.
Oh,
I love it. Yeah. With just that little bit of reddish here and there. Looks great.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, in all these neutrals, you can see they all have, you know, this is the beauty of working with neutrals, is that they will make the areas that have more color appear to have even more color, because they're next to something. If this building was all, you know, a reddish color, then, you know, it just wouldn't have the same feel. And truthfully, these old stone buildings, in real life, we'd be standing there and we'd be seeing a lot more color. You know, don't get carried away with, like, look at all those, what people would say are grays. So if you have something that does have a lot of grays, you can take that word gray and you can turn it to neutral, and then you can say, oh, what color neutrals could I use? And that it shifts your brain from thinking that you have to pick up something that is the color of the stone. You can turn it into something that's a little bit more painterly and say, okay, what colors do I see in there, as opposed to what it is in reality. So I kind of do a fusion of both. You know, there's a level of reality of the color, but then there's really actually not, because I do, you know, infuse the color. And like I said, I was going for a color harmony that was your blue-green, your blue, and your blue-violet for, you know, the majority of the painting. And then I was popping that up with bits of yellow, orange, yellow, green, and, you know, a reddish color, so that I had this really nice infusion. And they're turning a little bright right now. You know, I'll get in there and I'll tone them down while I, you know, break it up. But I'm not going to go crazy making a lot of, you know, detailed. If I feel like I want to give him a little bit of light on his shoulders, but I'm going to take care of that street first. I'm pretty sure I like the way it is, but any other questions?
Comment for me is when I saw this painting, the picture, before I even really saw your underpainting, I'm just so taken with what professional artists like yourself can see a painting in something I can't see. I'm so blown away by your ability to see a painting in a picture that I don't see a painting in. So I admire that in you, and your painting is absolutely beautiful.
Oh,
This was fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. You know, the as you noticed, you know, once this photograph and what the class on Tuesday saw was, this is you know, there was a lot I cropped off. So I do keep cropping until I see a composition, and the story was about, you know, the man walking down and what's happening in this little section right here and the light that's coming across. So I do a lot of cropping on the computer Photoshop elements I have, which if anyone's looking for Photoshop, the Photoshop elements, it's like $99 for as long as you have it. So it's not one of the ones where you have to pay, a monthly professional fee. And it does a ton of stuff. So Photoshop elements, it's worth it. And you just get it online and it goes right onto your computer. So you don't even have to actually go to the store. But I do take photographs very frequently and do turn them black and white so that I'm not trapped in the colors. And because I know I don't paint the photograph, it's a jumping point for me. I know I've said that before. It's a jumping point and then I'm going to switch things around. But I appreciate you saying something, Wendy, because, that's the goal is always to take a photograph or even plein air and really turn it into your own so that it's not the photograph is ruling you, but you as the painter is ruling it.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question? Okay. Oh, Judy, yeah.
I just have a comment. It's just wonderful to see the painting develop. I enjoy watching you.
Oh, thank you.
Pastel.
Yeah, and it's fun sharing it too. I do know I always get to a point in a demo where I feel like I just need to stop. I don't labor over paintings, but I must admit there's a point at which I know my brain just needs to stop, set it up and look at it, in a little bit. So the little bit could be like 5 minutes after I end this. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that.
Well, the process is wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Really enjoy it.
Betsy,
Yes. Susan.
I solved my viewing problem, and so I'll just pass it on to you in case anyone else has that problem. I was not swiping to the left. Your big picture was on the left and I never got there. So if you just swipe back and forth, you'll find what you're looking for. So
and is that on an Android or on an
that's
iPhone?
an iPhone.
And the iPhone. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. I have
Okay.
an Android.
Also, I'd just like to say the painting has gone so beautifully developed since you started it on Tuesday. It's wonderful to see everything else that makes it what it is. Gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you. And, one of the things is, on Tuesday, I spent more I had the drawing done and I spent, maybe about 20 minutes, just blocking in with the gradation of values for that mixture of gouache. I prefer gouache because I can get it opaque if I want it to, or I can thin it with the water and it can be transparent. So for me, and I'm not a watercolor painter, so the gouache is easier for me to handle. I mean, I use a variety, you've seen it, I use a whole variety of things underneath, but for something that had this much perspective and detail and all that jazz, and I don't really want to paint the detail, but I need those lines there so that I wind up getting my perspective right. So it doesn't look like something's falling over.
Betsy, I'll tell you, I learned so much when I watch you do demos and doing a full one like this. Sorry, of course, the phone always rings when I'm trying to talk. Like I said, I learned so much about what you're doing and how I might transfer that to trying to apply some of what I've learned to what I do.
Oh, so good. And that's it. And that's why it's fun to watch artists paint, because we do, there's pockets that make sense to you, pockets that will apply to your own artwork. And that's what you take away and you use that. And of course, I can remember watching demos when I was, first painting in pastel. And I took everything at a very elementary level because that's where I was, you know, at basic level. Okay, great. I can get that part done. And, you know, especially if you know, I was fortunate enough to take a few workshops with Liz Haywood Sullivan when I first started painting, and, you know, Rosalie Nadeau. And both of them, you know, were so systematic, you know, but free in their painting, that it was really a wonderful way to, you know, every time I took a new workshop or a new class, I felt like, okay, I've learned more.
Yeah.
And, you know, then over time, you know, it just becomes natural.
I know I've learned a lot because yesterday I resuscitated 3 paintings I had tried a couple years ago, and I made it really far with them, and I just got stymied. And I took them out yesterday, and I really instantly knew what needed to be done.
Perfect.
My
Perfect.
second question: most of my stuff, with a few exceptions, like the Cricket's Crow, my stuff is more lower value tonalish. So grays are important for me.
Mhm.
And did you just kind of buy very grays, like as you realize like a grayish purple would work, or did you buy anyone's gray set?
I do have a few gray sets. These are a mixture because I have a problem keeping my pastels organized. Some people are like really great about it. But once it comes out of the box, it's really hard for me to get it back into the box.
Yeah, I
So I do have, with the exception, most of my Girolds I do
Yeah.
keep in boxes because I do, which is like kind of silly because Giraud is the one pastel.
They're the easiest to
that
find.
you
Yeah,
can-
as soon as you
you
see
can
them, you know what
figure it
they
out.
are.
But I had the Maggie Price, other people have it. I know, Mary, who you do. Essential Grays, is that it? Something like that. Yep. And
Yeah, I don't like the Ludwig grays are so dark and heavy. I wouldn't recommend them unless you're doing like rocks at the beach. Liz
the
Haywood Sullivan, of
Essential
course, she
Grays
recommended it.
has- Yeah.
What's that?
I was gonna say the Essential Grays, I don't recall it being dark. What is deceiving though is just because you're saying it's gray, really, I mean, there's a
know.
whole value range of gray. I've got the
True.
Giraud's Neutrals. That's
Okay,
a
yeah.
really nice set too.
Yeah,
but-
Liz plugged the gray. Liz Haywood Sullivan plugged the Giraud gray set because she picked it out. But that's okay. That's not meant to be a put down. But
No,
I did look at them, and they are. I mean, there's like a purple gray, a blue gray, and the nice thing, it's grays seem to be a little bit finer detail work. So the other thing about the Ludwigs is, you know, now you have to use the sides or the tips. You know, I
Right,
haven't
and
found.
see, the thing of it is there's no point, except for maybe the some of the stuff I did with the people, there's really maybe a little, well, even the window, I didn't really need a tip.
Yeah.
I could just really use the side. So, and I probably won't use, which is the Giraud, I use a lot for when I travel for plein air. Because, you know, the sticks are smaller, I can get more colors, and they're in my smallest Hallman box that I have. So, you know, that's one of the reasons, like, I mean, Giraud is a great pastel otherwise too.
Yeah.
I mean, not just for traveling. But I tend to do, I like the stroke, I like, and I don't do a lot of smoothing. I mean, even the sky, I'll leave that mark making there. I gotta figure out that roof. I don't want it the same as this roof.
Yeah.
But I made
Okay,
that.
I'm gonna mute myself because I'm gonna mute myself because I'm about to crash around and make noises.
Okay.
You know, Betsy, one of these days, I think I'd like you to do an entire lesson on windows. It fascinates me the way you say, yeah, you don't have to do a lot of detail with windows. And yet when you're done, I'm like, oh my God, they're windows.
True, and you know what? I think I was telling somebody the other day, part of these windows here, it's like, it's that perspective line that's there, and that the left side of the window is dark. So you just put the dark on the left side. If a window was in light, even though these guys have light on them, the windows are not really catching the actual window is not catching a lot of light. They're all, you know, those are those real deep ones. We're not actually seeing glass. We're seeing the inset for an old building, which probably has walls that thick. So we never see the actual glass, which kind of changes the form. Down here, modern buildings, but I'm not going to draw them. You don't even see the doors or anything in that. And truthfully, sometimes if you have a photograph that's got way too much detail, what do you wind up doing? You fuss over the detail. So just ignore the detail. I just thought that was, just thought it was going to make it into a flower stand. I didn't know it was a restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Again, it was wonderful. We had a nice group. Appreciate the comments, and I will, before I go, I haven't totally finished it. I've got some things to do with it, but I have been working on the one from the last demo. So, I've got to do a little bit of firming up on the car that's here, which I made up. And I'm going to keep it loose up on top, but I do need to just sit and figure out what's working, what's not working with the lights and the darks. So that one will get, finished next week. I kind of lost last week. So, and I don't really have much to do with this guy. He's also a lot smaller. So I'll post this when I get it done. But thank you. And and we started this session talking about how excited we are, some of us, for plein air. Some of you are probably just happy that the weather is just nice and we can spend more time outside. So hopefully I will see some of you outside painting sometime.
So I just have one question before you go.
Yeah.
So when you just said there's a little more to do on the one you're currently working on, and then you went to your night scene and said there's a little more to do there. I don't see that there's any more to do on that. I'd love to know what details go through your mind that you feel you haven't taken care of yet.
Well, that's a very good question. A lot of it has to do with not necessarily details, but it has to do with, am I seeing a connection of the darks? Am I seeing the way my lights are moving around, especially in the nighttime ones? Are the lights that I have up on top, are they drawing too much attention? Is it not enough? I've already knocked out one.
Okay.
And it's just giving time to step away from it and come back and look at it with clear eyes. And with this one here, again, I'm not going to go crazy on the detail. I am not going to be drawing hands and feet and shoes on these people that are off in the distance, because guess what? They'd be so small in real life. We wouldn't be able to see them. And this is only a 9x12 piece of paper. So I'm not going for detail. I'm going for that finesse of, do I have, truthfully, it's all my contrast. How are my lights and my darks working? How are my warms and my cools working? And how are my intense and my neutral or dull colors working? Is everything gelling the way I want it to?
I took from somebody who, Joelle Feldman, who's French, who's a stickler for straight lines, and she was right. You'd be surprised, that crooked horizon line. I've been to like shows and seen like a crooked horizon line in or a building. There's lines that are supposed to be crooked, but she is like, if there's a crooked line, she's going to spot it. And sometimes I feel like, will you leave me alone? But she's right. So that's something I always look for. Another thing is I photograph it, because that instantly, and look at it, usually that instantly shows me like, oh, I didn't realize
it is.
I had, and I think another thing too is not having everything, for example, like too much on a horizontal plane. Maybe you realize, well, I better add a vertical tree, because, unless you're like some master at like the horizontal plane, but I think over the years, depending on who I've taken, everyone has their little pet peeves, I'll call them, and I have a little checklist up. So I have like kind of like Betsy's things under your name. I'm not going to call them pet peeves, but like what you're kind of like, you have everyone has like general themes,
Right.
Like Liz Haywood Sullivan is like a freak about edges, hard edges and soft edges. So when she critiques something, she's looking at that, like that edge is too hard, or, and I think too much detail in the foreground, in the background, or, the colors are too light, or those are all good ones too. So long story short, I have a little checklist with each person's name under their kind of contribution to my knowledge.
There you go. Well, I have a board up here, and whenever I read or I hear a quote that I like or a tidbit, I just add it to this large board over my easel. So I've got a nice little section, a selection of them right here. And one of my favorites was Sharon Bamber. She was featured in Plein Air magazine, must have been maybe about a year ago, and I only knew about it after it happened. Oh, and I'm gonna forget all the details, names, but she plein air painted, and she hiked that, maybe somebody will remember the name of it, the Scallop Path.
Appalachian Trail.
No, it was in, it went,
Okay.
was it Spain and France?
Oh,
And
okay.
it's a pilgrimage. A lot of people, take it for religious purposes, pilgrimage. But she also, every mile to 2 miles, or no, every 5 miles, I forgot what it was, she stopped and she painted. She had a donkey that carried her, art supplies. Her husband was with her for part of the time, and I forgot how many months it took. I did actually get her book with all of her paintings that she did, and she named them all by the latitude and longitude that she was at. So it was really fascinating. But her quote that I wrote down listening to an interview on Eric Rhodes' podcast was, "When do I come alive?" And you know what? That resonates so much because, when you're working, in art, the general feel is, oh, you're so creative. Not necessarily me, anybody. You're so very creative, you're so talented, I wish I could do what you did. But, we spend a lot of time angsting over what we're doing and thinking about what we're doing and planning what we're doing, and then we do it. And, if you're going to spend all that time doing something, you might as well do something you love. So that quote was just like, yeah, that's perfect. And I wish I was like how many years younger and had the skill, ability, the strength to be able to do what she did. But what a story that was. When do I come alive? That's it. Well, thank you, everyone. And
Thank you, Betsy.
we'll
Okay.
see you if not sooner. Again, let's see, gosh, we're already into April. I'll see you guys in May.
Thank you so much, Betsy.
Thank you,
Okay.
Betsy.
Thank you
It
so
was
much.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next
Bye.
week. Bye.